So in this video, I'm going to be trying to teach people how to talk to Jesus about literally everything and anything. And you can talk to him anytime, middle of the night, anytime. And you can also, here's how awesome our God is. Here's how awesome Jesus is. You can even talk to him when you are super high, when you are super drunk, or even when you are tripping on magic mushrooms. You can still talk to him. And I like to think about it like this. How would you feel if your soulmate, you're with your soulmate, and you didn't want to talk to her when you were drunk or high or tripping because you didn't think it was appropriate, or you didn't want her to see you like that, and you didn't want to slur your words when you're drunk, and you don't want to say prayer when you're drunk, or you don't want to say prayer when you're too high because you think and your thoughts are different or whatever. But how would you feel though if you were drunk or high or tripping and you wouldn't talk to your soulmate, your true love, when you were drunk, high, or stupid, and you avoid talking to her? Is that true love, that you won't talk to your soulmate when you're drunk, high, or tripping? So we can still talk to Jesus even if we are drunk, high, or tripping, because that's how awesome he is. And we can talk to him about anything and everything. And I like to think, I have watched this YouTube short about this comedian. He does a lot of comedy about marriage, but he talks about God. And that comedian's name is Marcus Wiley. And he said that the Bible says to pray about everything. And he was talking about how, before, he said that he's never smoked weed before, but he was about to. And before he was about to smoke weed, he prayed to Jesus, prayed to God, if it was okay with him, if it's in his will, to smoke weed. And now I mean personally, I don't feel that weed is a sin. Marijuana and magic mushrooms, I feel, are natural, safe, loving, healing medicine, and they are his creation. But I feel that we should, and I know this to be true, we should love him more than his creation. So even though magic mushrooms and marijuana are his creation and they are a loving creation, we need to love him more than his creation. And so he said to pray about everything. And so he was praying about he said that he even prayed about before he went to the club, going to clubs again, and prayed before he was about to try weed. He prayed to get a blessing, to feel if it's okay for him to do that. And so we could pray to him, we could talk to him about our day, we could talk to him about all of our problems, and we could even talk to him about the dark, evil, intrusive thoughts that we have, that we keep to ourselves, that we don't share with anybody, because if we were to share with anybody, they might judge us. But Jesus won't judge us for fully sharing our mind and fully sharing our heart with him. And that's what he wants us to do. He wants to know what we're thinking. He already knows, but he wants us to share it with him. He wants us to share with him what we're thinking, what we know, and how we feel. All of our feelings and all of our emotions. And even the dark, twisted, evil thoughts that we have. And even if and sometimes I do, and I admit it, I'll have homosexual thoughts, or even sharing sexual fantasies. For the most part, I share my sexual fantasies with him. I used to keep some of them to myself, but now I feel comfortable and open, and I had to learn that he wants us to talk to him about everything. And there isn't any inappropriate conversation with him. And talking to him drunk, high, or tripping isn't inappropriate. And me talking to him about my sexual fantasies, and I'll just talk about one. But having sex, I have a sexual fantasy of wanting to cover the whole room with like paper, and then cover my body and my soulmate's body with paint, and then we have sex while creating art and tripping on magic mushrooms and painting the room while we're having sex. That is a sexual fantasy of mine, and I shared it with him. And he wants us to do that, even sharing sexual fantasies, even sharing homosexual thoughts, which I don't agree with. And I see it as a sin, because he wants us to, man and woman, to create a family where kids can have a dad and a mother. And so that's what he wants. But if we are having homosexual feelings and thoughts, he doesn't want us to just suppress it and numb it inside and to just pretend like it's not in us. He wants us to talk to him about it. him how we feel, and we can ask him to help remove these things from our mind and from our heart. Because me personally, I don't want homosexual thoughts in my mind or in my heart, and I don't want homosexual feelings. I just don't want it near me. So I pray to him to take these things away from me and to not let it anywhere near my soul. And so we can talk to him about homosexual thoughts. We can even talk to him about dark, evil, twisted thoughts. Like we were having thoughts of murder, which every now and then, it's not like, it might be glimpses in my mind, but it wouldn't be, I don't even entertain it. I try to knock it out immediately, but if I catch it, I try to talk to him about it. And I admit it, dark, twisted, evil thoughts about kids. Okay? We can talk, and he wants us to talk to him about that. Because there's anybody else who, not even therapists. I wouldn't even recommend talking to therapists about that. I don't trust them personally. And my advice is to give your full trust to Jesus. Even if we are having dark, twisted, evil thoughts about kids, he wants us to talk to him about it and to completely share it with him and to ask him to help remove these dark, twisted, evil thoughts away from us. We can also talk to Jesus about suicidal thoughts. If we feel that we are having suicidal tendencies, if we are struggling with the desire to live, or having thoughts of wanting to check out, we could give all of those thoughts to Jesus. And we could talk to him about all of our suicidal thoughts. And he would change all of those suicidal thoughts into love. And he wants us to talk to him about it. Okay, so we could give him everything, all of our mess, all of our trash, all of our uncomfortable feelings, all of the dark thoughts that we have, all of the evil thoughts that we have, and we can share with them even the most dark, evil thoughts, intrusive thoughts that we just keep to ourselves because we don't want to be judged from other people. And we don't know how other people would see, we don't want other people to see us differently, we don't know how other people would react, but Jesus won't judge us for fully sharing our mind and heart with him. And that's what he wants us to do. He wants us to have a relationship with him. He wants us to fully share our mind with him. He wants us to fully give him our whole heart, to share all of our feelings and all of our emotions. And I kind of want to talk about this in this video, but I want to make another video to talk about this, but I'll just kind of squeeze it in here because it kind of relates, but it kind of doesn't. But I asked him this question too. What is the difference between feelings and emotions? Because I was like, because you hear them, they're almost simultaneously used. And I started thinking about rectangles and squares. So they said that all rectangles are squares, but not all squares are rectangles. And this is kind of similar with feelings and emotions. All emotions are feelings, but not all feelings are emotions. If I get an itch on my arm, and it's just itchy, that's just a feeling, okay? It's not an emotion. But if I feel sadness is a feeling and an emotion. So all emotions are feelings, but not all feelings are emotions. So if I feel an itch on my arm, that is a feeling, not an emotion. If I feel sadness, that is a feeling and an emotion. So I thought that was a very awesome understanding that Jesus gave me, and I wanted to share that with you, about understanding the difference between feelings and emotions. And so, yeah, but he wants us to share all of our feelings and all of our emotions with him. And he could change the most evil, twisted, dark thoughts and the most, feelings that we don't want to have, the most uncomfortable feelings. He could change all of that into love and heal us. And so, pray about everything. Give everything to Jesus. And he will transform us and renew our mind and heal our heart. Okay, so share everything with Jesus. Even all your conspiracy theories. Even like bizarre questions that you might think are stupid, but Jesus don't think it's stupid, and he still wants you to share it with him. And there's no such thing as a stupid question. So you can even share all your conspiracy theories with him. Another thing I want to say is, Jesus is kind of like Batman at nighttime. And what I mean is he can be very busy because there's usually a lot of crime and evil things and dark things happen at nighttime. And so he's handling that and serving true justice because he sees everything and watches everything. But what I want to say is, even at nighttime, a time of busy crime and a time of when a lot of evil is going on and a lot of dark things are going on, his line is always available and he is always here to talk. So we could talk to him about anything and everything, anytime. And he is never too busy to have a conversation. And there's people who struggle with feeling recognition and feeling seen. But I want to say this, talking to him about everything and sharing your whole heart and sharing your full mind with him helps you feel recognition, helps you feel seen. And so just put everything in his hands and pray about everything.